Hey guys, welcome back to Tamiya Legends, and once again, thank you for stopping by. So, I have made shed loads of content, lots of videos. I think we're over 500 video uploads, but I think it's fair to say that this is for me personally, my most exciting restoration, and it's the 1987 Tamiya Thundershot. Now, why that is because not this particular car, but the Thundershot was my first ever brand new Tamiya kit that I had. Now I want to say it was definitely a Christmas present, and I want to say it was late '87, because this came out, I think it was like December-ish '87. So technically it could be January 1988. But I'm not sure. I really can't remember when it was. But yeah, sat up in my room. Mum and Dad didn't see me for probably a day, 2 days, and I just sat down and built this first brand new car. Now, at the time of release, this was a really anticipated thing. The boomerangs and hot shots were all getting a little bit sort of dated, and they brought this out on the new chassis. Really sort of space futuristic looks on the body shell, brand new wheels and tyres, this big bumper. It was a little bit special. The Thundershot was the very first car out of the car, which has now got 4 cars to it. So there's a Thunder Dragon, Fire Dragon and Terra Scorcher. Terra Scorcher was the all singing, all dancing version. Came fully ball raced, front UJs, front and back sway bars, dual shocks on the front, probably something else that I'm missing, but yeah, it was nice. But nevertheless, Thundershot will always be my favourite car. I actually raced it at my local race club on a Sunday morning, and it did alright. Got quite a few trophies, obviously within that class. But and I've spoke about that a lot on these videos, but originally it was just running around with the standard 540 motor. Back then it was NiCads, remember, 7.2 volt NiCads, and 540 motor, and yeah, I did alright. But me and my dad got hold of a Kyosho Option House Spa 240 WS motor. If you know that motor, you'll know just how gorgeous it is. It's all chrome, all alloy, and it's beautiful. And I can't even remember where we got it from, but it was the first time I'd ever come across a modified motor, and me and my dad banged it in the car, and I don't know if we messed with the timing. I can't honestly remember. I want to say we did, but I can't remember. But it turned this thing into a rocket ship. Now looking back, this is what nostalgia and memories do to you. Before I looked into it, or somebody told me about that motor, I would have said, oh, that motor was ridiculous. It must have been like a 10-turn brushed motor. Looking back, it was actually only a 19-turn brushed modified motor. But I just remember trying it on the street outside the house when we got it, and you know, you turn it up and then you blast it full, and that moment where you just think, oh my god, that is so fast. Because back then it was rare, if you think about it. You know, we were all, or the majority of us, running on 540 motors, but the thing was ballistic. And I even got my my wrist slapped at the club because I just turned up and I used it. I didn't know there were stock and modified classes, and I just stuck it in. And I always remember the main guy there, he was a riot. You didn't like him, but he raced an Optima Pro. Now obviously it wasn't in my class, but he must have seen how fast this was. And at the end of one race, I remember him picking the Thundershot up, turning it over, looking at motor and shouting to the guy on the lap counter things, this is a modified, it's illegal. And he was kicking off about it. Bear in mind, I was like 13 years old. And then the guy who run the club just took me to the side and said, oh, you can't use that, and he explained the classes and whatever, and I was like, oops, sorry. But yeah, it's funny how you remember these things, isn't it? Very strange. Anyway, so we've had this ages and it's collecting dust. When I got it, it had the dual shock CVA conversion done on it. The standard Thundershot comes with mono shock, and that's about it. It's in a little bit of a state, but it looks pretty solid. It came with original manual, which is awesome. So over the months, probably a year and a half. I've collected, there's a brand new set of tyres there. We've got a full set of tyres to put on it. We've got a full set of brand new wheels for it, which is important. It was missing the battery holders, so Tony's Tamiya Parts sorted us out with them. I did order at the time the A5 alloy or metal steel brace to put on the front. Because I used the shocks on a different car, which was frustrating, I had to source the original monoshock. Now, this has got the correct front spring on, it's a lot harder. And I wish I could remember who sent me this. I think it got DHL to me from Australia, and I'd really apologise because I can't remember the gentleman's name. Maybe through this video I'll try to dig that out because it's important I give him a shout out. He sent me that for nothing. So we've got that to make it correct. And big shout out to Andrew, who sent me the L-shaped brackets which you need to fit the monoshock because you don't use them when you're using the dual shock conversion. I've got a brand new original shell for it, uncut, untouched. Now that's mega cool. With the car, I got the brand new original decals as well, so super cool. And at the time when the Terra Scorcher Riri came out, I think it was then, or maybe it wasn't. Do you remember when these Thundershot bumpers were like rocking horse poo and you were paying like $50 for them or like 30 quid? And I never did. But anyway, I got this one and I got it a lot cheaper. So brand new bumper to put on it as well, which for me was mega important because I want this thing to look mint. Right, so with all that said, this is a bog standard Thundershot. I've also got an original Terra Scorcher, which is in a bit of a state too. So the plan always was for this, I wanted to make this like a top spec Thundershot. So basically a Terra Scorcher chassis. At the time I was going to put high caps on it, high cap dampers and stuff, but because I've just not touched it, I've used all the bits on everything else. So what I've gone back to, I want this to look completely 87 Thundershot, as I say, monoshock on the front. But I really do want to put the Terra Scorcher hop-ups on. So that's the front, that's the front UJs. What else is there? That chassis will be fully ball raced as well. Now that car has hardly been used, so the bearings should be good to go. The Thundershot comes with front sway bar, but I want to try fit the Terra Scorcher rear sway bar on as well. But I don't just want it to be a Thundershot chassis with a, I don't want it to be a Terra Scorcher chassis just with a Thundershot shell stuck on it. So I do want to use the correct Thundershot front and back damper mounts because they're quite a bit different on the Terra Scorcher. And most importantly, why I'm doing that is because obviously the Terra Scorcher came with the adjustable camber links front and back, whereas the Thundershot just has fixed arms. So that's important because that means I can sit it a little bit lower and I can alter the camber in and out, which is cool. So what I'll do now is I'll bring the camera over, I'll show you the bits close up and I'll show you the Terra Scorcher. Right, so as I said, full set of Thundershot tyres, obviously not original. Original decals, so cool, showing signs of age, yellowing and that, but they'll be absolutely perfect. Original monoshock with correct spring, very important. That's the brand new L brackets to mount the monoshock, again very cool. This is the A5 alloy part that I bought from paragusto.com. Don't know who that is, probably just got that off eBay, but these things are a must. This was the only hop up until about, I don't know, 7-8 months ago. This was the only A5 hop up they did really, but now we do some big fancy alloy ones. We've got the bumper, brand new, and of course this shell, which is absolutely superb. Look at that. Found this in Canada. I don't know if it was eBay or Kijiji over here. Absolutely so cool to have. The other set of tyres, 2 sets of wheels, again not original unfortunately, but that doesn't bother me, and the battery holders, and then the manual. Now that's a very cool thing to have. Right, let's have a look at the cars. So the original Thundershot up first. So obviously I've nicked the dampers off of it, as you can see. The car actually came with the old Futaba speed controller, which is cool. No idea if that works or not, but that'll be cool. We'll test it out. No idea what this is going to run on at the moment. Initial thoughts when I get to that stage is maybe put the Technical motor in, which I think might be a really nice touch. Obviously the body shell's in a bit of a state, but it's not really cracked, so there is an option maybe down the road to strip that paint off maybe. Driver section, so obviously I've got two of these because I've got one on the Terrascorcher as well, so one of these will be painting up. That is painted, it's just a little bit minging, so the whole car itself is minging. Let's show you the other one. And that's my Terrascorcher. So what I should have said earlier is the cool thing about this is, if all goes to plan here, I'm going to have an absolutely bit of a mint 87 Thundershot, which is awesome. But obviously I'm going to have enough bits left to do something else with the other chassis. So that's going to be pretty cool. Obviously I'm nicking the rear CVAs off of this to finish that. So this will need shocks, and we're nicking other parts. But alright, so that one's not painted, but this had original mini high caps on it when I got it, and the tops had come off, so there's oil everywhere, so there's a big clean-up job with this. But this is one of those cars that I love because this has hardly been used. I don't know its history, but it seems like it's one of those cars someone built back in the day. They've smashed it, they broke the right upright, and they never fixed it, and they just put it away. So that's awesome, and I've actually got the correct upright to fit back on it at some point. So yeah, we'll probably end up using this one so we can paint it. Again, this one comes with the period electrics with it, which is cool, a mechanical speed controller, a couple of servos in there, and a Futaba receiver, which is nice. So as I said, this thing is in, I don't want to tip it up because there's screws in there, but it's in really good condition. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this chassis first, and we want to check it. So it's a case of, as I say, everything's minging, there's oil everywhere and everything's sticky. It's just not pleasant at all. So I think what I want to do is I'll strip this back down to the chassis, we'll get the arms off, check the bearings, and then let's get the gearboxes off, all that good stuff, and get into the gearboxes, make sure it is fully ball raced, which I no doubt it will be, and as I say, check the bearings, and then maybe just start to build up from that, and then taking bits of the Thundershot as and when we need it, or even, you know, we might get the rear gearbox off of this and it could have a crack in it, the chassis could be cracked, so it's going to be like taking parts from both cars, but I think we'll start with this one first. Right, just thought I'd show you quickly the differences. So Terrascorcher Thundershot. So the first thing is the front shock tower. Now, as I said, these nuts and bolts need to come out of this one because it had the dual one on, but the L-shaped bracket's gone to the lower arms and then the monoshock sits across. Whereas on the Terrascorcher it had this really wide front shock tower. It'll give you a little bit more of a sort of a more aggressive angle. Even if I was going to do a dual shock conversion, which I did to mine back in the day, I actually used the original Thundershot front shock tower, because that's just how the little conversion kit came, which was pretty cool. Now, and just in case you didn't know, the uprights on the Terrascorcher are different to the Thundershot. Now, how am I going to show you this? So what you're looking at there is, if you see this arm, how it comes up off this upright, this one's a lot steeper. It's a completely different part. So again, as long as the Thundershot parts are not broken, we'll use as many of the Thundershot parts as we can. But then when you go to the rears, the shock tower configuration is exactly the same. So the Thundershot had a very narrow shock tower, whereas the Terrascorcher came with this a lot wider rear shock tower. So that's different. Now, the Terrascorcher came with a rear sway bar, so I do want to transfer that across onto the Thundershot using the correct rear shock tower. Now, quick look at that, and I think that can be done. I mean, it must be able to be done because that rear sway bar would have been a hop up for the Thundershot way before the Terrascorcher came out. and obviously the arms are different. The Thundershot wasn't adjustable, didn't have adjustable top arms, where the Terra Scorcher had the lovely sexy blue turnbuckles front and back, which was cool. Can't get the Futuraba Speedo out just yet. It's glued down with something, and it's been there for many years. So what I'll do next is we'll get working on this, and we'll start stripping it. Right, so that's all the electrics out of it. The Mabushi RS540SH. Now again, that's out of Terra Scorcher. I'm not 100% certain if that was the actual motor in the Thundershot. I'm not too sure. I think it possibly could have been. We've got the Futuraba Speedo out. Again, we'll test this at a later date, and I need to just check what the motor limit is on it. I know it's not great. It might even be a 27. Yeah, I need to just look that up. Probably test it first. If that works, I'll probably use that. If it doesn't, then we'll definitely be going mechanical. The resistor and plate look in excellent condition on this thing. So I've whipped that whole unit out, switch is out, and the Futuraba receiver is out. So electrics will be for a later date. There's no rush with that. So next up, what's next? I think we're just going to dismantle this completely. I say we've got the manual for it. I think we'll dismantle it fully, get the gearboxes off. Yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll dismantle it fully. We'll get it down to the 2 gearboxes, and then we'll start work on the gearboxes, and then we'll get the manual out, and we'll start just building it back up as a Thundershot, and then we'll sort of be transplanting bits across. Super excited about this one. It's awesome. Okay, we're finding some stuff that's not good. The rear bumper. So, as I said, for whatever reason, this was covered in black insulation tape, so everything's is gunked with it like adhesive. So there was a little bit around the rear bumper, but as you can see, it's snapped. Luckily, the one on the Thundershot is intact. What else can I show you? That's the Air 5 part that everyone knows and loves. Now, this particular card had obviously had a load of damage. It had a front left smash, so it completely broke it there, but the other side's cracked as well. Not that that matters, so that's cake anyway. But it doesn't matter because I've looked at the Thundershot one. It could be cracked, I won't know until I take it off, but it's intact, and with the metal bracket, that'll make it solid. So that's bust. The upright one was hanging off, which I knew, so I got a replacement, but just when I took the side off, which I thought was good, it's cracked there as well. Early signs of the Thundershot say that one's okay, so we should be okay so far. What else is there to show you? Well, look, that's got the masking tape, insulation tape on that side. No idea why he's done that. He'd even done it on the arms. Now, if you guys know this car, you'll know that you get these stress marks on the blue plastic. But he'd covered that. I mean, it's absolutely solid. It just doesn't look great. But looking at the Thundershot, that's got stress marks in the same places. It's pretty common. But anyway, we'll clean that up. And then I just wanted to show you the front universal joints. They are a thing of beauty to me. I absolutely adore those. Later down the line, I might see if I can get a second set of the originals and put them on the rear as well. That'd be a nice touch. So as you can see, we're getting there now. So I've just gone over the chassis, the gearbox mounts front and back, and there's no cracks in that chassis. So that's good news. So next step is to take the gearboxes off. He has got a big lump of insulation tape down here. So I'll rip that off and see what's underneath it. But yeah, I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to get some hot soapy water out and get these things steeping, because there's a lot of clean up to do on this. Right, so I've just stripped all that stuff down, and it's all now just bathing in hot soapy water for now to get the gunk off of it. I took the tape underneath the chassis, and it was great. So the chassis looks really strong. So now we've got the 2 gearboxes. I'll put this car away at the moment because I've not touched that chassis yet. So the idea now is getting to these both gearboxes. I've saved the all the original ball bearings out of it that were on the cups, and they're all great, which is really good. So there's no reason why the gearboxes shouldn't be, but I want to get in there and just have a look, see what's going on, make sure the bearings are good. We'll clean the gears up and what have you, but anyway, let's get into them. Right, so that's the front gearbox, all apart. A reasonable amount of grease in on the bearings and things, but the actual gears themselves are just a tad dry, which was to be expected. I'm not going to open that diff up because I can't do that one hand, but the diff feels great, so I won't bother with that. And let's see if I can do it. Yeah, that feels really good. So I'll just clean these off and then we'll re-grease it and get this front gearbox built back up. So first little upgrade, which obviously because I'm using a lot of a Terra Scorcher, is this section here. You might have noticed when I was taking it off. So the original Thundershot obviously came with bushes instead of bearings. But obviously with the Terra Scorcher being the full spec, it came with the extra, well, it's got a bearing anyway, which I would have done, but it's also got the thrust bearing in there. So I'm just going to grease that up again, and then we've just got the cover to go on. But that's obviously quite a big improvement from the standard Thundershot. Okay, do you want to hear something very odd? I think there was a bearing missing from this gearbox. Now I know that sounds bizarre because when I took it apart I never noticed, but as I was building it back up I took the bearings out to check. Anyway, when I put it back together, one of these, when I put the cups in just to test it, one of them was really loose. And I'm going, oh, that's not right, what's going on there? So I took it out, had a look inside, obviously there was no bearing in that side. So I'm like, what am I doing? So I took it back apart and then I'm looking around here for the bearing. Now, I've not moved. I'm doing this in real time, as it were, and I've got 8 bearings up here for the outdrive cups. There's no bearing here. I've not misplaced it. I'm pretty certain that had a full bearing missing, which is absolutely bizarre. But it was a car I've never checked. I don't know what the gearbox felt like. I don't think I ever tried it. Anyway, that's finished now. That's the front gearbox finished with full bearings. What's next? So yeah, what I'll go do now is we'll do exactly the same but on the rear. Right, that's the rear box finished. Feels great. No missing bearings in that one, and I still haven't found a bearing that wasn't in the front. I'm 100% convinced it wasn't there. So anyway, that's the 2 gearboxes done, which is great. So now I'm going back to the manual to start at the beginning. Now obviously the first couple of pages are just about the radio gear and what have you. The servo is obviously done. I just need to mount it. So I'm not going to bother with the radio tray or anything. So we're gonna pick that up on number 8, which is, I won't put the switch in either. I'm going to do the electrics at a much later date, but we'll get the servo in position. And then we skip again, number 9, not putting that in, and then we can start putting the battery trays in and things like that. Right, so the original steering servo's gone back in. It seems okay. I'm probably going to regret not powering it up to make sure it's okay, but it seems okay. Saying that, I know when I come to it, won't be set right, or it won't work at all. I've just fitted the brand new battery holders in, which just clip off one side and then swivel. It does that on both sides. And it gives you 2 options on this car. That's set for 7.2, but you can open it up because it would have taken the 8.4 back in the day. So that's cool. So next stage, I've got to go back to the other chassis out and take the rear body mounts off, because obviously it's a completely different layout on the Terra Scorcher. So we need to fit the Thundershot rear mounts, which I'll do next. And then it's a steering mechanism. So I've just cleaned all that up and dried it all off. So anyway, let's get those bits done. Right, so that's the rear Thundershot mounts on, which was a little bit of a mission. I had to drop the back gearbox down so I can get to the screws underneath. Anyway, they're in, and the steering mechanism is now in and re-greased. and I've redone the turnbuckles to the correct sizes plus the outer ones. So this is all hidden normally with the bumpers on, but that's how it works, which is kind of cool. The steering's really good on this car. So that's that section finished. Now looking at this, now obviously we've got the gearboxes built. I'm not fitting a motor yet, so we're going to go jump straight onto the arms. So this is where now I need to check that I'm putting on the rear, is that rear? Yeah, that rear uprights are the same on the Thundershot as they are to the Terra Scorcher, and I'm pretty certain they're different. Now I'll come back, but the Thundershot has 2 holes there, and I'm pretty sure the Terra Scorcher only has 1. Now obviously I do want to fit the turnbuckles onto it, but as I say, I'm taking a flyer on that. I'm sure that was a hop up back in the day. There's no way if you bought those to that turnbuckle set you would have to change the rear uprights. That would make no sense whatsoever. He says, hope with fingers crossed. So let's dig these parts out and see what the differences are. So yep, different rear uprights as well. That's one I didn't know. I knew the fronts were different, I didn't know the backs. So that's the cleaned up Terra Scorcher one now. It's that top bit, you see it's only got 1 hole. Whereas, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. So you got 2 holes on the original Thundershot. Let's try to hold that up so you can see the difference. So yeah, that's interesting. I had no idea about that. So these are on circlips? I'm not sure. Yeah, that top one's a circlip. That bottom one's a screw. Right, what I'll do is I'll whiz this side off and we'll see if we can fit it to this. Because I'll say I do want the correct sort of uprights front and back. Right, so that's the 2 rear arms made up, but I just thought I'd show you sort of closely what the difference is. So this is now the, let me get this right, well the blue arms are the same, I've double checked them, I was pretty certain they were, but they're identical. But this now is the Thundershot upright, and that is the Terra Scorcher. So as you can see, it's completely different in size. It's just this end bit here, but they've only both got 1 position, although that has 1 hole either side. This one has another hole here, but I've no idea what that's for, but that's missing in this one. But it's the angle that you can see, which is completely different. So that's really interesting. You know what, I like learning stuff like this. Right. I hope I'm not going to get to the end of this and I'm not going to be able to use the Terra Scorcher turnbuckle set. I hope I don't have to end up going back, taking these off again and putting the Terra Scorcher ones back on, because you've got to mess around with circlips, and as you know, that's never fun. Right, so instruction wise, we've done that. Now, yeah, here we go then. So this is the rear gearbox, where normally you would put the solid blue arm on. So we're going to put the turnbuckle configuration on. Yeah, oh well, we're going to know in the next the next 10 minutes if this is going to work or not. Right, so, obviously the turnbuckles are on. Now the camber's way out at the moment, or I think it is, it looks to be, but I'm not too concerned about that. That's just undo that nut and then in or out, depending what you need. Now the rear drive shafts are in, you can feel the diff and the overall drive feels great. So quite a big issue actually, unfortunately. So as I put these screws in, this is all moulded to the gearbox. There's a hairline crack on this side and also a hairline crack on this side. So I had a quick look on the other gearbox of the Thundershot, and that's actually the same. I've only looked at one side, but you can see a hairline crack on it. So that's really unfortunate. So to fix that properly, I would need a re-gearbox housings. But yeah, I'm not too concerned. I'm gonna do off camera once it's built. I'm gonna do a little epoxy repair on it because it has got a good grip, but obviously, depending how hard I ran it, you know, that could snap. So that's a little bit unfortunate. So I will do an epoxy repair afterwards. But right now, that's kind of all how it should be. And I've greased everything. Everything was really dry. So yeah, it looks right. I don't know. There's something in my head telling me that it's not right, but we'll carry on. So what is next? So that's the rear we've just done. So it's a front end, and we already know that the front uprights are different. So we're going to have to get those off the Thundershot, get them cleaned up, put the relevant... Oh yeah, we have to use the Thundershot anyway, don't we? Because the Terrascotcher one is bust that I thought was good. It's getting a bit of a jigsaw puzzle, this. Right, let's get this built up. Right, so I've taken the bits off the shot, put the bearings, so these are the uprights from me Thundershot, put the new the bearings a Terrascotcher had. Now, let's see if I can hold this up so you can see. So that's the Thundershot upright, and that's the Terrascotcher upright, so it's this bit that alters. So that's the correct Thundershot bits. So I've also had to now, the next bit of instructions here, we're fitting the L-shaped brackets which holds the monoshock on. So I'm going to put this bit together, and then obviously we're going to get to this bit. So we'll have the messing around again with the turnbuckles. Interesting build, this one. Right, that's the front end built up. It was a little bit of a pain, to be honest. I'm going to be honest, both cars were in a lot worse condition than I actually knew or expected. I'm a little bit miffed with it, and I'm now contemplating whether I would actually run this, which is a bit of a shame, but we'll get it all built up anyway and then we can figure it out. There's the A5 strengthener brackets on, but the other A5 bracket was pretty shot. But as I said, I bought this was the only thing available probably, what, 12-14 months ago. That was the only A5 strengthener. But as I say, now you get this unit is complete alloy. So at some point I will definitely change that for an alloy one, because it'll be way better. But that does the job for now. So turnbuckles are on. Universal drive shafts are in. Obviously the L-shaped brackets for the suspension's in. So that's it. So the next up, it's telling me to build the shocks up. So we might as well get those cleaned up properly and get the oil in them. Right, decided to leave the shocks to the end. It's a bit pointless breaking off. So next step was to fit the rear bumper to that. Now that's a good one, so that's fine. I've also fitted the correct Thundershot rear shock tower, which is a narrow one, and while I was doing that I've obviously fitted the hop up rear sway bar. Probably can't do this one-handed, but you get the gist of it, how that works. So that's pretty much that. So the next step now is to bolt the rear gearbox into the chassis, and it's going from bad to worse. I took the front shock tower off the Thundershot, and it literally snapped in half in my hand. I took the screw out, took it off, and it was just in my hand. There was no pressure on it, and it just snapped down the middle. So I thought that was game over, but luckily, given the kind of configuration of how it fits, with the sway bar, so that's bolted down either side, and then there's a bolt in the middle with the front body mount, so it's pretty solid actually, even though it's snapped. Now again, luckily, given that it's obviously it's not getting used for the shocks. It's more just there for show and holding a sway bar on, so there's no pressure on it. So yeah, I've got away with it, but not great. So you can see that working. So yeah, now we can bolt that to the chassis and get the prop shaft in there. Right, looks like a car again. So what we've done, front gearbox bolted in, prop shaft now in. What else is there? New bumpers on, nice and shiny bumper, and that's basically the car finished. Everything working as it should. Steering's in, fully now, turnbuckles are on, so we've got that. And the overall drive feels pretty good, to be fair, quite like it. So yeah, next up now is the shocks. I can run this. I'm thinking about it. You know, there's things wrong with it, but it will run, and it can run as hard as I run them anyway, without damaging it. So I've got to be careful and not get too put off by it. Yeah, shocks, and then what's after shocks? Yeah, and then we have to go through the wheel adapters, because I don't know if you guys are aware, but these things just with age just deteriorate rapidly. There's a crack in that one. I don't know if you can see it. So I have to make sure I've got 5 good ones. 4 even. But yeah, it's taking shape now. Once we get those shocks on, it really will start looking the part. But just saying that, just looking at it now with the front and back sway bars, I know it's got the front unis, the camber joints on. It's yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm fully ball race with original ball races. Now that's pretty cool, I have to say. Right, let's get them shocks built. And that's the chassis finished. I actually ended up working really late last night just to get it finished. Got the shocks cleaned up, as you can see, obviously mounted. Then I put the servo and mechanical speed control and resistor back in. Did that more for weight than anything else. And obviously brand new wheels and tyres are on it. But then I had to adjust the camber, the settings on it, because the wheels were a little bit out. They're still not great, if I'm honest, but it's kind of way better than it used to be. And to be fair, it's got a decent-ish stance that I like. It's not too low. And the problem with this car for me has always been if you've got all the proper shock spacers on and what have you, it sits really high. I don't know if you can see that. It's really high. But yeah, the way I've got it set now, on its own weight, it sits about there, which is absolutely cock on for me. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it, to be honest. The diffs are awesome. It is very nice and smooth. And then we've got the overall drive, which is great. Plenty of steering, as I say. And there's nothing binding. It's all gone together lovely, to be honest. So yeah, I've got to be honest, I'm pretty happy with that. It's a great looking chassis. So I've got to be happy with that. Now, before I get into this, I want to give a massive shout out to James Robinson. He's a fantastic gentleman who sent me the original front monoshock and correct spring for this car. At the beginning of the video, I could not remember his life for the I couldn't remember his name for the life in me. But yeah, he knew I was after one. He messaged me, said I've got one. The guy's in New Zealand. He DHL'd it to me. It was here within about 4 days and didn't take a penny for it. So a massive thank you. I really appreciate that. So back to the car. Yeah, I've got a slightly different view of it. New day, new ideas. Yeah, it's got a few little hairline cracks over it. But it's not going to deter me running it. I was really put off yesterday for some reason. I was a little bit negative, but all I'm actually losing out on is the ability to take this to the Tamiya Legends Arena, you know, the BMX track we go to. That's all I can't do. But I can still put the Technical motor in it and get it ripping on the tarmac and loose gravel. You know, this car will run perfectly. It's just if I was doing any jumps and it was landing heavy, then it would probably crack those parts fully. So that's not worth the risk. So yeah, all in all, I'm really happy. It's I like I really like the idea of what I've done. It's one of those things where I could post this on my Facebook group and people go, so it's a Terror Scorcher then? And no, it's not. It's a Thundershot, but it's a Thundershot fitted with all the original vintage hop-ups from back in the day. So that's kind of what I you know, as I say, we changed the hubs, the uprights, they're all Thundershot, shock towers are Thundershot, obviously body mounts, and obviously the mono shock at the front. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. So next up for this is one of my favourite bits, which is obviously getting the shell done and the driver cockpit all painted. As you've seen, I've got all original stuff to do it in, so it's mega cool. I've got the white and blue paint ready to rip. But I will end this video here because I had a quick look last night at the different sections of video, and this is quite a long video. So I'll do a part 2 and we'll get the shell done. But I will start that straight after this video because I really want to get this finished and on the shelf, and we'll also do a tyre writing. This is one of the most important things on this car, is to do the off-roader on both sides on each tyre. I don't mean both sides of the tyre, I mean it's printed twice, and it just brings the whole wheels alive once the shell's on. So I'm really looking forward to that. So I'll end this video here. So once again guys, thanks so much for watching, it's really appreciated. If you are new to this channel, if you could please consider liking and subscribing to support us. And if you do that, smash that notification bell for our weekly videos. And as always guys, happy RCing.